So it's been a while since we've had a video from up here. So I just wanted to go over a couple of things. Oh, wow, move further away. I'll move closer to the object again. Yes, a couple of things that have become apparent since I did the video about can you return to a hobby as a newbie again, and a fantastic response from. Let me turn this phone on. I was trying to see if I could use the old phone to do this. I'll sit back here because it's more comfortable. The old phone to this or not, it was still on. It was distracting me. But anyway, fantastic response from both Anthony and Dale. Dale was in person. I had a chat with him. Literally just finished about 5 minutes ago. With that, talking about this, and I put it to Will as well, and Anthony made a really good point about the whole painting and trying to compartmentalise and separate it out. You know, recognise the patterns coming in when you associate something, negative things with something you enjoy, usually, or whatever, that sort of thing. And that was something well worth taking in mind. So at that point, I was starting to reconsider the Japanese stuff as such, but there's still that thing in the back of my head that, especially now I don't have my contact there anymore. I could look for new people to talk to. That is one possibility, of course. But I don't have a contact there anymore. But I've also never been to Japan, and this was a key thing that I asked Dale the question. I said, "Why do you model the Pennsylvania Railroad?" Because he said if he came back, if he left the hobby then came back to it, then I should really get that stuff put away. If he left the hobby and came back to it. He said he's still doing PRR. I said, even though you said you wanted to do a Southern Railway layout, now Southern Railway for my UK viewers is the Americans have a Southern Railway as well. They've got the Southern Pacific Railroad, but they've also got a Southern Railway as well. And that's what you remember growing up. And I said, you said you wanted to, wouldn't mind doing a second layer, another layout on top of your cut exists. You want a second layer, a level. And do it up there. He said no, still be the PRR would still be his first choice if he had to start fresh again. And I said, oh, what got you into that? And he said, well, he visited Pennsylvania and and actually got to see some of this stuff. Well, yeah, he saw PRR boxcars still kicking around. He's actually seen the scenery, seen the place where it runs and it ran and everything like that. And I said, all right, and that got me thinking, because obviously we'd already been talking about this whole returning as a newbie thing, and obviously I'm trying to think of where I am and come at it fresh and sort of like, what do I do, what's the best thing for me to do? And I think that's something else, is Anthony as well. Anthony is an even better analogy in some ways than Dale is. I mean, Dale models somewhere where he doesn't live. He doesn't live in Pennsylvania. It is quite a few hundred miles at least from there, if not 1,000 or so. He lives a long way. Anthony lives almost as far as I do from Japan, if you like, from Germany, where he models, and he models what he's experienced. And I'm just thinking, I know one day I could go to Japan, and I was really hoping to, but there's other things I want to do first, such as it's actually cheaper for me to fly in a Spitfire as a passenger in the back seat of a two-seat Spitfire. That's something I'd like to save for and do first, because it's more achievable, and it proves myself I can save that much money in one go, and so on, and other stuff, the slightly cheaper experiences will mount up more and ultimately do me better than one big splurge out to Japan, if that makes sense. Now, some history of me in Japan. I had some knowledge that existed, purely in the aspect that, for many years, purely in the aspect of military terms, the Vashik Yamato and the Zero, and the fact there were well, sorry, there was one aeroplane at Costa. There's now obviously all three. Well, I think probably the Oka rocket suicide aircraft was there. But the KR-100 I know for a long time was at Hendon. But the diner's nearly always been there, but as far as I can remember. So there was a Japanese plane, but I didn't know what it was. I couldn't tell. It's only more recent years I was able to call it a diner. Not, I might say more recent. Since I've been at college, I was able to go to Cosford more on my own and get used to seeing it and remember what it's called. But largely didn't, knew about the bullet trains as well. Know the bullet trains exist from the railway interest. That's about it. Then, and I know I told the story before, and we had this meeting at Railway Circle. It was the first proper meeting of the season. My first time there, well, sorry, my second time there, but first season I did there, and had this guy who'd worked there for a number of years, and he was showing us his photographs of Japan's railways, and that's what opened me. Wow, they've got a whole railway system. I don't think it clicked that there was narrow gauge down below. He probably did mention it, but that didn't really click. Then it went from there, it just sort of died off again because there were other shows where obviously my interest was taken and everything like that. So yes, it's one of those. It just worked out that way, and I sort of didn't lose interest as such, but just forgot about it again. And I started obviously growing up I watched Pokemon, but anime wasn't really my thing. I never watched Dragon Ball. I hadn't watched the Ghibli films. I hadn't watched it. I still haven't watched Dragon Ball. I don't really want to watch Dragon Ball. It's not my thing. But I saw Yu-Gi-Oh, I saw Digimon, that sort of thing. So I've seen some anime, as it were, but I wasn't really into it. Met up with a friend that I had known through, since obviously he was still at school. A friend throughout school, and I was doing British Engage at the time. And I said, oh, apparently you can get Japanese Engage, I discovered. And, oh, right, okay. And he went and got that. And the way he was, he did actually, this is his own words. He didn't like anyone else to sort of be doing Japanese stuff as well as him. And I realise now just how bad that is. That's just awful. And so I still got to know certain classes, like I know what the Dig Diesel are like. Now I know it's a DD51. The steam engine is D51, so I did kind of, I knew I wanted a D51. And I knew of, again, didn't know the class, but I knew of the shape of the F66. And so our political differences caused that friendship to end. It makes me quite sad, really, because you sort of agreed to not talk about politics, but he can't help himself. It comes up, and it's just like, why do you keep doing this? Stop. But then you realise someone's actually quite bad, and it's when other people are telling you you're now a better person, now you don't hang around with him. That's sad. But it's nice that they respected me enough to sort of let me carry on, I suppose, in one way, because I didn't leave me to proper danger. Anyway, regardless of that. So yeah, obviously interspersed this as big gaps where I do Warhammer, because that's the way I do things. I am very full on with my hobbies. At the minute, very full on. Well, Spitfire's still not progressed at all. Not progressed since the last time I mentioned it, which was that's nice. It's not really a big thing, but there's some gaps in there. And I'm trying to find a balance. I've got plans to try and find a balance within my hobbies. Come back to have a proper go at railways again. and that's when all the aforementioned stuff happens. As I mentioned in the last video about this, all that happens with the pre-grouping stuff and that all going sour and the rest of it, which then led to I'd been fooling about in trains with the computer game with some Japanese stuff, which I'd found, oh wow, you got all this stuff. And that's when the layout started, because it was, oh, why didn't you have a go with some Japanese bits? So one thing you'll notice is there was never a deep-seated cultural interest in Japan beforehand. I've become more interested obviously with the Railways. The Railways are the start point, and I did watch an anime, and I have watched quite a few obviously, but I watched the Ghibli films, and I would not be without them. In fact, I've gained interests outside of the Railways, which, you know, the sort of fine spot. I don't suppose it feels very strange to talk about it this way, but yeah, so it's almost separate now. You know, it's like a separate amount. Yes, there wasn't like the big mix and the coming together of two hobbies, or there wasn't. You know, it was just I'd seen the show at Railway Circle, and then it was the thing that kept me in the hobby, as it were. Now, this more recent break, what caused it? Well, really, it was the price of things, really, is part of it. And that's obviously is a thing, that's partly what I'm going to come on to in a minute as well, is, you know, even the Japanese stuff, it was quite cheap before, isn't getting, I mean, the one last pre-order I've got, which I'm going to have to see about cancelling, I think, the engine's 160 quid on its own. I paid 120 for that, the class, last time I had one. I had 3, so I've got enough of those, really. But, you know, it's one of the, it's that sort of thing, you think, okay, I've got Warhammer, I've got an anti-social side, Railways, and this comes back to what Anthony was saying, and associated with pain. Okay, I need to try and, it's partly what I mean by trying to come at it new in a way, because, like, stick to the friends that matter, and you know who you are. The people that just want to cause aggravation, or just, you know, try not to associate them, but coming to it fresh means perhaps moving in different circles, trying different things. And also there's the big barrier of Japan is actually getting the knowledge about it and not having that personal experience. I could go, but who knows when that's going to happen, and will I actually get to see D51-200 running, or will it could be broken when I get there? That's the way these things are, isn't it? So Anthony's just replied to something I sent him earlier. Brilliant. Glad you enjoyed it. I'm glad you enjoyed it, actually, if you watch this. Yeah, so you got that, and then obviously I was quite happy and just sort of cutting it off and sort of going, yeah, okay, that was a chapter of my life and it's over now. But various forces have conspired against me, and I seem to be coming back into it. Now, what's the price of it? Now, price of it means that what I'm seeing is whatever I choose, whatever I've got is left to me by a benefactor. It's been given to me by a benefactor, wherever I go with the British double O, the Japanese end, the American end of scale, or whatever. It's benefactor. But if I need money to fund anything else for that, then the remaining 2 suffer, if I want for a better phrase. So I need track. Oh, God, I need some track. Right, sell off a couple of the bits of one of the 2 I'm not doing to fund that. And this is where ideally, you know, I do love the N-Gage stuff. I think it's fantastic. What I don't think is fantastic is British N-Gage, and I've said this before on previous channels. I think British N-Gages, you may not see it, but until you've experienced the quality of Kato and Tomix and so on, particularly Kato, you don't realise just how much you're being shafted by Graham Farish and Dapol, especially Dapol. When I can still buy, I'll do it right now. I will do this as a fair example. So if I go on to who still sells their stuff, do they still sell Bachmann? They do still sell Bachmann. The other thing you get, I think I changed my channel name and stuff enough to mind you, it hasn't changed for ages now. So Graham Farish, here we are. I want to go on some rolling stock, and yeah, here we are. Oh, that's a limited edition, so that's not fair. Want a random truck. There we are. So a 5-plank wooden floor wagon, Devlin's Trawlers Green on Rouse the Shepherd right now. It's £16.50, 21% off the RRP of £20.95. Okay. If I go on to, and I'm prepared, I could make myself look like a fool here. Freight cars. Here we are. So, box cars tend to be more expensive anyway because there's a bit more plastic to them, right? There's a double set here, set of 2 Kato box cars on Traintrack's website right this minute, £17, and you get 2 in the box. You get 1 of those little wagons for £16.50. So 50p more, though still £3 under the RR, or £3.95 under the RRP of that Graham Farish wagon, and you get 2 bigger vehicles. So I really think you're getting shafted, and I've been shafted a number of times myself when I've tried to do it. It's my opinion. If you disagree, you're welcome to disagree. But yeah, Steam Locos, 120 quid. British Steam Locos nearing 200 now. They've got working lights, these ones haven't. I mean, just for basic features, 282 working lights for 120 quid as opposed to a 280 8F for, what did I pay for mine, 169 or whatever, 170 quid. So there's that. So Engage, British Engage is off the cards. If it's British, it's 00, because I have 00 locos. It's just, they will need some track. That's the only thing with them, they will need some track. US N scale, I have a minor information, it is Dale. I've got my New York Central stuff, but I think that again the trouble is, I've seen US railroads, modern US railroads. I haven't got that. He saw them in while they still had things like cabooses, while they still had that sort of stuff. I didn't see it. And see, Anthony's modelling what he saw of Germany. He's not modelling Germany of 50 years ago. He's modelling Germany as he saw it, as he experiences it when he goes over. So basically, yes, you can see why I'm pushing myself into a corner here. There is British 00 I think is the way I'm going to have to go. And I don't want to say it like that. I mean to say it a bit more sort of like, it's the most sensible option. I can go to the Severn Valley and I can experience, or the Great Central, the East Somerset, the West Somerset, Shackleton, Llangollen, the East Lancs, North Yorkshire Moors. How many more do I have to say before I don't offend anyone? Cuba Valley, the Swanage, the Bluebell. There we are. The Rodney Harvey Dymchurch Road, that's 15-inch gauge. That's different again entirely. But anyway, yes, I could go and experience this for myself. And it would be a heritage railway I think I'd look to model, despite the fact that, well, I don't know, it could be a heritage railway, it could be one, I could try and take a leaf out of Dale's book in a way and be able to run it right through from one set of dates through to heritage. If I want to run it to heritage railway, I can. If I want to run it as a working railway, proper working railway with work, the way I'd differentiate it is Severn Valley is a working railway, but the difference being is the freight isn't revenue earning. When a freight train runs, it tends to be a demonstration, whereas if I'm running a freight train so if I'm running a freight train on my heritage line, it's heritage line. If I'm running it as was working, than it's a revenue earning freight service actually transporting something from A to B. So yes, that's I think that's where I think that's where I'm heading with it. So yeah, so I've got a load of stock. I don't actually have to buy any locomotives. The expensive stuff I have. I've got locos, some need doing up, some that are in the process of being done up. I've got carriages, I've got some freight cars, and yeah. Now, I have got a few things I could sell on, but track, I don't think track's too expensive, to be honest. It's expensive enough to warrant selling other things to buy it. I think I can afford that, amongst other things. It means it'll build up slowly, but you know, so be it. I need to get the board built first, so there's plenty of time to put some money aside for track. I have a controller already. I do need to work out how to do a fiddle yard and what type of heritage railway I'm going to do, but that's all for future discussions. So yeah, let me know what you think below about the update, as it were, and I'll see you next one. Take care, everyone. I hope you stay safe and be well, and if it's made you think, then I hope it's made you think a positive. I'm treating this as a positive. That's the thing I want to end on. This is a positive, it's not a negative. I'm trying to think more positive, trying to think about, okay, what can I do? Okay, bye.